Hey guys, Christoph here from the Card Boys. Just wanted to show off my Enel deck. So in the recent online event, I was actually able to go 7-2 was it, which meant that I got to the top 16. Yeah, I was able to rank 12th overall, and yeah, just wanted to show off what I was playing, what I played against, and then also some of the changes I want to make to the deck. Before we get into it though, I just want to say as well, this is actually an Egman list. A couple of days before the event, I was just trying to fine tune my deck. He uploaded a video and there was a few things that I quite enjoyed from it, so I thought I would give it a go. He did say in the video as well that it was untested, but you know, obviously it's well tested now, so yeah, just want to give full credit to him for that. So I'll link that original video in the description if you want to check it out. But yeah, let's just get straight into it then. I'll move that away. There he is. So we'll start off with the 2Ks of the deck. So we got 4 of the Flampe, 4 of the Beige, 3 of the Frankie, and then 2 Hiyori. Flampe is just really good to see opening hand, whether you're going first or second. You know, Enel obviously wants to be able to take life, and having a card that essentially just draws you 2 for 1 cost is, you know, pretty amazing. It's also good because a lot of strategies when you're versing Enel is to starve them out, don't let them go to low life. So having the ability to, you know, take your own life while also drawing, so then you can also use your own card's effects more effectively is just really awesome. Beige we're putting in here just because obviously of the trigger. Being able to stop your opponent from attacking, you know, basically can win you the game. Frankie is one of the new cards from the set 7. Its trigger effect is draw 1, and then if you have 1 or less life, play this card. Just really good. I mean, like, obviously Enel's going to always be at low life, so there's a high probability that you will see Frankie. We would be playing this at 4, however, we do have the Hiyori. So for those who don't know, Hiyori's effect is on play, take the top card of your life and then add 1 card to the top of your life. So essentially you're just taking a random card from your life and then adding a trigger. So you add the Frankie, add the Beige. It's actually one of the cards that made me want to play the Egman list, so I thought it might be an interesting play. I think I only played it actually once in the entire event to put a Shiro Hoshi at the top of my life. But yeah, otherwise there never really was a good opportunity to play it. Flampe was always just a better option to play rather than her. But you know, she still had value because she's still a 2K, so she did come in handy. Moving on to the trigger cards, so these are the ones that I would get off life if I saw them. We got 2 Onami, 2 of the new 5-cost Luffy, and then we have 4 of the Shirahoshi. Onami is just a really good versatile card, being able to give your character or leader banish when you play it, you know, able to put that board pressure on, either getting a lot of cards out of their hand or make them just, you know, banish one of their own life is really awesome. Also the trigger effect, being able to KO at 5 cost, you know, dealing with your Sabos, your kids, you know, even your Borsalinos, Rebecca's, like, it's just a really good trigger effect that just takes care of a lot of different things. Luffy is one of the new cards from set 7 as well. So its effect is you may trash this character. Then if you have 2 or less life, KO one of your opponent's 4 costs or less, and then draw 1 card. So really good because you, again, with Enel, you're always going to be at low life. So you probably will be at 2 or less, which is really awesome. It'd be really cool if, you know, if you can save this card for a turn, so play it, and then next turn swing, then use ability to, you know, KO something and then also draw. But, you know, you can also use it as a way just to put pressure on your opponent, you know, just play it, pop something, draw a card, pass turn. Shirahoshi, just obviously for the draw power, being able to draw 3 cards and then get rid of 2 useless cards from your hand, whether that be, you know, some dead cards or just things that just aren't really useful in the matchup. The trigger effect also, just being able to play it is also really awesome as well. You can also combo this with another card that we'll look at later. But yeah, Shirahoshi, you know, we have so much draw power in this deck, it's kind of crazy. You know, we have Shirahoshi, we have Frankie, we have Flampe. It's kind of crazy. I think yellow Enel at the moment is probably the best draw engine almost, just of how much cards you get in hand. But next up, we have the other characters. These are the non-trigger characters. We have 4 of the Gadatsu, 3 of the Perispero, and then we have 2 of the 5-cost Rush Ace. Gadatsu is just a really useful character to have, especially when you're versing Law. For those who don't know, the effect is on play, KO one of your opponent's characters equal to their life. So if they have 4 life, you can KO a 4-cost character on the field. Yeah, really coming handy when you're versing, you know, especially Law. Other matchups, like a versing, like say another Enel, not as much useful, but yeah, it's just a really good card because you can also put stuff in their life was another card we'll look at in a second. So that way you can also play off it as well if you want to. Pero is there as a way, as a sort of like, I guess you could say a distraction almost in a way. Enel kind of has this weird sort of spot where it doesn't really have much to do when you get to 5, 6, 7 Don. You have a few different things you can do, but in terms of like bodies to play, you don't really have too much. So Pero is kind of that way to just play something, but also be a distraction because, you know, if you're versing something like Law or Lucci, they're going to want to be able to take it out just because otherwise they don't want to deal with an 8K body on the field. So it's a way just to distract them while you're waiting to get to your 8 or 9 Don so you can play other big bodies. Ace is the other card that I saw from the Egman list that I wanted to play. As I was just saying, you know, Enel has that weird middle spot where it doesn't really have much to do. And by the time you get to 5 Don, you're probably already going to be at 2 life anyway. So being able to swing, you know, 5 and then 7 with Ace is just really kind of like aggressive. And similar to Pero, they're going to then focus on trying to get rid of it because they don't want to deal with it next turn. Yeah, and Ace really did come in handy, and it's a card I quite enjoyed playing with. Next up, we have just our big body. So these are main cards of the deck. So we got 4 of the Katakuri, 4 of the Yamato, and then we have 4 of probably the MVP of the deck. We have Ace. For those who don't know, Katakuri's effect is on play, target an 8 cost or less character. So that can be yours or your opponent's, and then place it on the top or bottom of their life face up. Yeah, just a really awesome card. Essentially, you can play it, you know, with Shirahoshi to put, or even Nami, or any of your triggers, essentially, to put it back into your life. So that way, you know what's coming, and your opponent does as well, so they have to play a lot smarter. You can also put stuff in your opponent's life, like such as the 8 cost geckos, or even anything else that you've threatened by. It's a really good card into Black Yellow Luffy that I found, which I'll go in a little bit later, just because you can pop things back into their life and then they can't use abilities essentially. Yamato is a 9 cost 9k body. Its effect is on play, KO one of your opponent's characters equals to your and your opponent's life. So say you have 1 life and your opponent has 3, then you can KO a 4 cost. Then if you have 1 or less life, add a card to the top of your life. So yeah, this Yamato and Gadatsu go really well into lore, especially. Those are the 2 cards you want to see, just because you can basically pop more or less anything on their field. And yeah, just overall, just a really good card just to get rid of annoying bodies that your opponent has. And Ace is the other new card from set 7. So its effect is on play, add a card to the top of your life. And then if you have 2 or less life, this card gains Rush. Yeah, it's just a devastatingly good card. I mean, yeah, just everyone fears this card essentially when you're going into Enel, because yeah, it's just, it's coming. Every Enel list runs 4 of them. So being able to gain a life but also swing 10k is kind of insane. Yeah, I don't think there's any matchup you don't really want to see this card in. Probably mostly you want to see it in Lucci just because it's such a big body that they're going to have to spend quite a bit of time trying to get rid of it. These, especially Katakuri, they can get probably rid of pretty easily. Yamato is slightly more difficult, but yeah, 10 costs is something they're going to have to work for if they want to get through it. But yeah, essentially, yeah, these cards, I don't think you would ever put down less than 4. Yeah, I love all of them, and there wasn't really any matchups that I didn't really want to see them in. As I said, Katakuri, I want to see in Black Yellow Luffy. Yamato, I want to see for lore. Ace, I don't want to see any matchup particularly, but mostly just Lucci. That's the main one I want to see it in. And then finally, we just have the events. We have 4 of the Kingdom Come, and then we have 4 of the Zero Cost event. We run the Zero Cost at 4 just because we do run quite a few dead cards in the deck. Obviously, these 12. We also have the Aces as well, and we do run a few 1Ks as well. That might not be as useful. The trigger effect as well is also really great. If you don't know, the trigger is if you have 0 life, so this has to be the last life card. You can then add 1 card to the top of your life and then trash a card. So essentially, it's another Enel. The cool thing as well is if you have this card as your last life before you use Enel ability, you can actually gain 2 life, because this would go off first and then Enel's effect. So essentially you get 2 life back, which is really awesome. Kingdom Come is basically just get rid of any big annoying bodies that Yamato or Gadatsu can't get rid of. So you're talking, your 8 cost geckos, your 8 cost Ishos, if you're versing a mirror match, one of these guys. As well, its trigger effect is the same as Yamato, so you can KO something equal to yours and opponent's life. Didn't really come up in any matches that I played in, just because whenever I got it off life, I only usually had 1 life, and they usually had like 2 or maybe 2 life, so never really came up. But yeah, also its second effect is then you trash your life to 1. So, Enel is probably always going to be at 1 life. You want to get as quickly as you can to 1, so that's not really an issue. But the other thing as well, similar to Flumpay, if your opponent is starving you out, you can also just use it just to get to 1 life. That's the other option as well. But yeah, guys, this is the list. I had quite a fun time playing it. My matchups for the day were, so first, a Law first. Got a bit lucky with that one. My last life was a 0-cost event, which meant I regained a life, which was good for me because he had 2 Rush Kid Killers in hand. So if I didn't get that extra life, I would have lost. My next 2 matchups was a Boa and Perona. Boa, I find, is pretty good matchup for Enel, just because, unfortunately, a lot of our stuff is a bit high cost to be affected by, things like Gravity Blade and like that. And also with the Rush Ace, Boa's effect of freezing something doesn't really matter too much. And yeah, they do have the, obviously, Red Rocks, the bottom deck stuff, but, they only have 4 of those in the deck if they're running 4, so not really too much of an issue. Perona is a similar thing where it's just, unfortunately, they can't really rest anything because I'm running such high cost things. If they don't see the geckos or, Stussies or whatever version they're playing, it can be definitely rough for them, and yep, I was able to get the victory there. My 4th match was against a Black Yellow Luffy, and this is the match I was talking about, was Katakuri. He saw everything. He saw all 4 of his 5-cost 8 Sabos. He saw all 4 of his little 2-cost Sabos. He saw a Gecko. All I saw was 3 Katakuris and 1 Ace. And I thought, oh no, I'm going to lose this, but I had to play it very smart. So what I did was I just kept playing Katakuri, putting stuff into his life so that way he couldn't use lead ability. And I just essentially just starved him out to the point where he had no cards in hand. I had a decent enough board that I could just start swinging. And yeah, I was able to get the victory, but a very intense game. 5th game was against another Boa. Similar thing happened. Obviously we just run too much high cost stuff for them to really affect us. I then versed a Lucci. I got a bit lucky there. He was able to mill out all his geckos, so he wasn't really able to do too much. Round 7 was my first loss. I lost against a Enel player, so we had a mirror match. I actually lost to the winner of the overall event, Alan Liu. So congratulations to him as well. He played an awesome game. Round 8, I lost as well. I lost against a Lucci player, actually a guy I know named Jaden, who also got top 16, so congratulations to him as well. He just saw everything he needed to beat Enel. He saw stage, he saw 2 geckos, he saw Stussy, he saw Sabo, and unfortunately I just wasn't able to keep pace with it, and he just was able to overwhelm me. And then round 9, I versed one last Lucci, and similar to my first Lucci, he unfortunately milled out all his geckos, so I was able to just basically build board and just swing for game. But yeah, no, so this is the list from Egman. There are a few changes that I will be making to it. So the first thing that I'll be doing is actually going to be taking out the 2 Hiyori. As I said, they're not too useful. They were useful as 2Ks, but in terms of ability, wasn't so much. So what I'm actually going to be doing is increasing the Frankie to 4. And I'm actually going to be also increasing the Onami to 3, just because her trigger ability, being able to KO stuff, is really good. I find Enel works best as sort of like an interruption sort of deck where, they want to swing into you and you want to get good triggers that basically just stop them from doing stuff. So having an Onami be able to KO things, so that way I can build board more effectively and then swing into their characters and starve them out, makes this deck just a bit more valuable to me. So I feel like Onami is just more value to the deck. The other thing as well that we will be doing is we're going to be taking out the Pero, and we're going to be replacing them with 3 of the Rush Enel. Now, when I versed Alan, we actually had a deck check afterwards, so we could see what each of us were playing, and we noticed that essentially he was playing Enel and I was playing the Pero, and we were talking about it, and essentially we were playing it for the same reason, being that sort of distraction and also being sort of that weird sort of spot in the deck. So, but we were talking about it, and like Enel definitely has a lot more value because at the very least, if it gets removed by Lucci or it gets removed by Law, I can use effects, so that way I can just trash my life, which is also a benefit to me if they're trying to starve me out, and then I can still, keep it on the field. So that's the main reason I've decided to change it in. We do lose the counter, unfortunately, which is a bit unfortunate. However, what we will be doing is actually taking out the Rush Ace, obviously because we now have Russia now, so it's not much point having 2 5 rush cards, we actually are going to be putting in 2 of the 5-cost Sabo. So this is the other difference that me and Alan were playing. So he was actually playing 4 of them, if you've seen the list. And we're just talking about it, whereas like, being able to KO a 5-cost is a lot more valuable than say a 4-cost was Luffy. I don't know if 4 is warranted. I think that's a little bit too much. I'd rather have Luffy just for the trigger effect. So I decided to do half and half. But I did, think about it afterwards, and there were situations when I was playing where I was like, oh yeah, it would be great if I could pop a 5-cost. And as well, it also allows me to get low life, as I need to trash a life to be able to KO something. So again, if they're trying to starve me, I can essentially just play him and then take a life, trash a life, sorry, and then go from there. So this is the build that I've done, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions for any improvements, please let me know. I'm still deciding if I want to play this at a in-person event that's happening in a couple of weeks. It's either this or Lucci, so I'm going to just do a bit more play testing. If I find a build that's a little bit better, I'll upload that. But otherwise, guys, this has been Christoph from the Card Boys, and hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you around.